I'm Kevin Jacobsen of Gold Derby here with Ron and Russell Mael. Some may know them as Sparks. They co-wrote the new film Annette, and they just had a documentary come out about them called The Sparks Brothers. Big year. And to start off, I actually wanted to just check in with what this year has been like for you, like having a movie you wrote go to Cannes, to have your own documentary out there. Just how have you been taking in all this newfound attention this year? Whoever
Well,
wants to start.
it's been amazing because we've tried through our career to have movie musical projects uh, made, and for what various reasons they haven't kind of seen the light of day. And so to have two films at pretty much at the same time, was strange for us, but they kind of complement each other. The Edgar Wright documentary about Sparks, and then also the Leos Carax's movie musical Annette. They kind of help each other, and people can kind of get a broader view of what we're up to. And just we're such film fans that the idea of having the opening night film at the Cannes Film Festival and having it being a movie musical was just kind of so surreal and such a dream for us. It was really amazing.
What about for you, Russell?
Yeah, that just Edgar Wright touches on it a bit in the documentary, how Sparks' career arc is not comparable to any other band's career arc, and especially for a band that's had 25 albums, a 25 album long career, to now have these film projects bringing us into a whole other you know uh, bringing a whole new public kind of to Sparks, that some who were aware obviously of the band, but new fans as well that weren't aware. And so now at this point in our career, to be having this new sort of resurgence, or a new kind of even acknowledgement of what Sparks is, and kind of a reassessment, has been something that's really really odd. And Edgar Wright kind of talks about that too, of this sort of everything that Sparks has done along their whole career has not been the normal way that things unfold. And so yet again, this is one new chapter that's atypical of a band with a 25 album long career.
But after
Yeah.
this amount of time, we're just so proud of the Annette project. And Leos Carax, he was the perfect director for the film, because uh, other directors have other projects that they're working on, and so if one kind of doesn't happen, they're okay. It doesn't matter all that much. But with Leos, he always only works on one project at a time, and he doesn't do a lot of films. So it was, we kind of share that kind of sensibility where you have to put everything into that one thing that you're working on. And so for 8 years he focused on Annette, as we did as well. And we couldn't be more proud of the results.
hmm Yeah, absolutely. And I read that you came up with the idea for Annette about a decade ago as a sort of concept album. I'm curious what the foundations of that original story, what was there at the start in terms of concept? Where was the starting point for you?
No, the version of Annette that we had written 9 years ago is essentially the same story that's there now on film. And what's maybe been enhanced is some of the details within some of the characters have maybe been more flushed out since our original version, and a couple of new pieces of music, new scenes were added during that eight year period that we worked developing this with Leos. Um, but essentially the story is the same story that we came up with, and most of the music are the original pieces that we had come up with before even meeting Leos, and some of those pieces have been kind of revised during the course of the time, where the dialogue is maybe changed that we've written on Leos's suggestion, and a couple new pieces like the final scene within the movie, The Abyss, wasn't in our original version, and that was Leos's suggestion. So we had written that piece of music and collaborated with the lyrics with Leos on that piece. And then piece there was The Girl from the Middle of Nowhere, which is a piece that Marion Cotillard's character sings, kind of telling about her life, how she got to where she is now, and some of her fears and trepidations about what's going on with her marriage now. And so that scene wasn't in our original one, and Leo suggested having a scene where we learn more about her story. So we wrote that piece of music, but by and large, the other majority of the pieces were there. The "So May We Start" piece, which is kind of a piece which is outside of the movie in a certain way. It's the actors and the creators of the film speaking about the film that you're about to see. We kind of like that concept of having a piece that was sort of outside of the actual movie, and then there's a bookend piece to that at the end called The End, which is literally all of the cast and the crew singing and about this piece of saying, we hope that you enjoyed the film. If you did, tell a friend, and if you have no friends, tell a stranger tonight. And so they're both pieces sort of being reflective about the actual movie that you're going to see or the movie that you have just seen.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I think, about the film also is you've both been in the business of performing for so long. And this is a film, I think, about performing in a number of ways, and is very much a satire of celebrity culture and the sort of personal lives of artists and, exploitation, all these big themes. And I'm curious how much your experience in the industry sort of found its way into the story, and how you just came upon the world of show business as the right setting for the story.
Well, it was important for us at the very beginning. I mean, we knew that we wanted to have the Annette character, that there would be a spoiler alert, but a singing baby appearing in the film. But the parents, it was important for us, in order to feel comfortable with writing the music, that they be somehow a part of performance in kind of a general sense. And so obviously an opera singer, which is Marion's character, was something that lends itself to being able to develop in a film musical. But it was a challenge for us. We wanted to have the other character be a performer, but not in a musical area, but convert that to kind of being done in a musical way. And so a stand-up comedian seemed like both a counterbalance to a more poetic kind of operatic singer, and then kind of the crudeness of the stand-up comedian. And we've spent a lot of time on stage, so it wasn't like totally alien for us to be writing those characters, even though obviously neither of us are stand-up comedians or opera singers. But the idea of that kind of performance, and also just the concept of how uh, the changing fortunes within uh, a partnership of two people that are in uh, I hate to use the term show business, but show business where one is kind of ascending and one is descending rapidly, and how that affects their relationship was something that we wanted to explore. And so, you know, there were all those things where we were writing, you know, not from direct experience, but we kind of understand those issues.
Right, just inherently, I imagine. Yeah. And also I wanted to speak to just the musical aspect and the vocal performances with Adam Driver and Marianne Cotillard and Simon Helberg, who are all actors first. They're not naturally known as singers. How involved were you with their vocals and their interpretations of your songs, especially after living with this material for so long and actually seeing them interpreted in a different kind of way?
Well, we had met with Adam Driver maybe 5 or 6 years ago now, well before the film was shot, and he was interested in the film and really excited about it then at that point, and we had met with him to discuss kind of the tone of the singing and the tone of the character Henry McHenry that he portrays, and we were on the same page right from the beginning, how he saw this as not being kind of Broadway style singing, but more coming from a, more naturalistic in its approach, and almost a guy coming from more of a band sensibility in a certain way, the style of the singing, because he's a stand-up comedian, and so we just couldn't see this being broad, like a Broadway style of singing, that it had to be more edgy and not so schooled type of singing. And Adam really saw that exactly the same way. And we think that, it was something that we lived with for 8 years. It was my voice doing the role of Henry McHenry. And so you get used to hearing it done one way. And then when Adam finally took over the role and we first heard his takes on that character, we were so happy with how he was doing it, because we just think it was just so perfect, his interpretation. And then obviously with our original version, it was just an audio interpretation of these characters, and there was no acting to be seen, nothing visual. And so to see someone like Adam Driver not only doing the vocals and the singing for this, but in his, really dynamic acting of this character, it was something really special for us. And we thought it was just an amazing performance that he gave. And the same for both Marianne Cotillard and Simon Helberg. They both brought, she brings a real elegance to the character and to the singing. And Simon Helberg as well. He has fewer scenes in the movie, but the ones where he's there, it's just, they're really striking. In particular, the one where he's the conductor leading the orchestra at the rehearsal, but then kind of doing these breakaways, directing his lines to the camera, to the audience, actually to us, the viewers in the movie theater, saying about how has his suspicions about what's going on with Henry McHenry, and how he's telling about his love for the Anne character. And he's doing this all while he's conducting, and then he stops for a second and says, "Excuse me, just one more moment," and then he has to go back and start leading the orchestra again. And then for a second and a third time, he breaks away and starts speaking to the camera. And we think that scene, and it's done with a 360 camera, we just thought it was really beautiful scene, how it was shot by Leos Carax, but also just a really amazing performance in that scene by Simon Helberg.
There was an extra level of complexity to their performances because Leos wanted all the singing to be done live at the time of the shooting. So not only was there, just the acting aspect, but they had to, sing as perfectly as possible within, at that time. And the only element that was added afterwards was that since Marion's character is an opera singer, she sings incredibly well, but that quality of being operatic is something, that was kind of not a part of her standard singing style. So an opera singing was added to her performance.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I did want to briefly touch on the documentary, which spans the entirety of your lives, even before your music career. And I was wondering if that self-reflection for you guys actually clarified anything from a certain part of your lives just from talking about it or from watching the film, or something that made you appreciate something more, or anything along those lines.
Well, something that Edgar is really able to bring out that we had no idea would happen would be sort of these side themes of like perseverance, when you're in a creative world where you have to have perseverance that's guided not by necessarily by anything other than your being true to your creative spirit, and that in the end that's the only thing that's important. There's success can be measured in all sorts of ways, financial and all of that sort of stuff, or it can be also measured in just what you do creatively, and in the end of the day that's what you have to be concerned with. And I think that kind of theme came through as a byproduct of the film. Obviously it's dealing with specifics of 25 albums of ours, but along the way that kind of theme emerges. And what we're really happy about is it's really the feedback we've gotten from the film is it's really been inspirational for a lot of young people, young creative people that were kind of, they're concerned about their own, how do I do this? Am I doing the right thing? And that we kind of, in our own small way, and in Edgar's way of portraying it, that in that way during the film kind of has reassured a lot of people that they have to just stick with their creative vision and not be swayed by outside influences. And so that sort of thing was something that we were really happy about, that it kind of, beyond it being the specifics of Sparks, that it kind of has these other themes as well, and that it was really something we like it. We think it's really a good movie, whether it's Sparks or not Sparks, but we think it's a really great movie. And we were always hesitant about doing a documentary that kind of in our minds, whether a documentary is kind of like an obituary for a band in a certain way, like after the good stuff's over with, you kind of see what they did 40 years ago, and part of Edgar's thesis was that what Sparks is doing now is equally valid and maybe stronger than a lot of times throughout our career. And we were kind of happy that he's kind of emphasizing the present and the future for Sparks, as opposed to it being a story only about the past.
And also just maybe this is less lofty of a issue, but we work in such a closed off kind of way. And so to find out that there were all these people from various, musical areas and other artistic areas, actors and writers that were aware of what we were doing, was something that we really had no idea. I mean, obviously we play live and we see reactions, but to know that you're also hitting people that you have great respect for in an artistic sense, was something that just in an ego way was something that meant a lot to us. And it's inspirational for us. I mean, you like to think that those things don't matter, but they do. They inspire you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's a very beautiful byproduct too, that it has inspired other artists as well. And congrats on this incredible year. And for those of you watching, like and subscribe for more interviews and go to goldderby.com to make your Oscar predictions. Guys, truly, thank you so much for your time. It was great talking to you.
Pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Good talking with you.